Hi, welcome to this edition of Ideas at Work and Beyond. I'm Dr. Ed Volpin-Testa, family doctor here in Bethel. And tonight we have a very interesting show. We're going to be talking about Relay for Life. We have a volunteer from that program with us, Laura McCormick, and a cancer survivor, a very brave woman who's going to tell us her story over the past 4 years of what she's gone through. Very briefly, this is a live call-in show. Let me remind you, the phone number is 792-4101. 792-4101. Please call in with your questions. As you come in, be patient because I'd like the ladies to finish their comments while you're calling in. Very briefly, Relay for Life is a program of the American Cancer Society. The object is to generate funds for cancer research. And I'm not going to say any more about it. I'm going to Laura, you're a great volunteer and a representative of the program. What's it all about?
Well, the Relay for Life is the signature event of the American Cancer Society. And it's a chance for the community to come together and join in the fight against cancer. It gives us an opportunity to celebrate those successes that we've had in research and medicines, as well as those who have beaten cancer. It gives us a chance to remember those who we've lost, and also to fight back in the ways of raising funds and taking action and spreading the word.
You're a great advocate, Laura. Laura, where does that money go? Tell us a little bit about it now. We're going to run around the track.
Yeah, well, that's a great question.
Yeah, where's it all go?
Well, the American Cancer Society puts their funds into research, education, advocacy, and service.
All right.
So people in every community benefit from the funds that are raised. The research obviously goes to funding important cancer-fighting drugs, and we've had some really wonderful successes in that area. And Kelly can attest to that when you hear her story in a little bit.
Kelly, yeah.
We also are great advocates in pushing through Congress and funding for cancer research and insurance and all of those causes, as well as educating the public on preventing cancer, because we can prevent many cancers by healthy habits, and so we try to get the word out there with that.
And hopefully we're going to have some people calling in with questions about preventing cancer and what have you. Laura, I'm going to go to Kelly now.
Sure.
Kelly is a cancer survivor, and she's going to tell us her story, what she's gone through, and a lot of the subtle nuances. You know, I was talking to her before the program, and she's really atypical the way she presented, and because of her persistence and positive attitude, she finally got diagnosed. Kelly, tell the audience how this all came about, when you were first diagnosed, etc. Go ahead.
I had been feeling extremely tired for a couple of years, and not just normal tired like you've had a busy day, because I have 3 children, but so tired that I really couldn't function. Sometimes I just have to lay down. And had been going to my doctors and talking to them, and they ran routine blood tests, but they never found anything. When I went to California, we moved to California, and I went to a doctor and I told him, you know, I know something's wrong with me. And he listened to me, and he ran a barrage of tests, one of them being a chest x-ray, a routine chest x-ray. And that's how they found that I had a tumor in my chest and diagnosed
Kelly,
me
you
with
had been
Hodgkin's.
sick for how long before the diagnosis was finally made?
About 2 years.
2 years. And tell the audience, you know, when we talk about being tired, there's tired, and then there's the tired that you had. Tired is what we all have on Saturday morning. We don't want to get out of bed. That's tired. But Kelly, explain what you understood by tired.
My fatigue was where I would be working and literally just couldn't think. It was like a cloud in my head. And one day my husband was with me, and when I had one of these spells or whatever you want to call it, and he said, you know, I can tell something's wrong with you. You look bad. And so when I finally went to this doctor in California, he said, you know, something's definitely wrong. You know something's wrong. And so he did the test, and by then the tumor was large enough they were able to catch it on the x-ray.
See, you bring out some good points, Kelly, how, you know, nobody, the best doctor in the world, nobody knows your body, the patient's body, as well as the patient. And Kelly persisted for about 3 years. And this is a common problem. It happens often. Not to be sexist, but it happens all. I think we do this with women. A woman comes in and she's tired, And it's very easy to say, well, you know, you're a wife, you're a mother, you're running around, you just need some rest, let's do some blood work. But you knew that something wasn't right.
I did.
And you pushed and you pushed. It was all on the basis of a chest x-ray. Very interesting. Your blood work, Kelly, tell us how that
My
was.
blood work was always perfect.
Was
It never
normal.
showed any indication of any disease.
You didn't have any other symptoms, weight loss,
No.
fevers, you weren't getting infections every week for no good reason. A
No.
Really remarkable story.
No, I tell people, other than the cancer, I'm perfectly healthy and always have
Yeah,
been.
God bless you. Thank you. You look great. Do you hear these stories a lot?
We do,
Well,
over
yeah.
and over, the people that we meet. And that's the wonderful thing about
Yeah.
Relay for Life is that it brings so many people together and gives people who may be just diagnosed such hope when they see people like Kelly, who have
Right.
survived, not only once, but she's survived 4 times. with
Yeah,
cancer.
we're going to hear about it. Yeah, tell us about that despair. Do they, you know, the patient, as a volunteer, do you see that they come to you and, oh, I'm just got to be terrible to hear that you've got cancer. Now what do you do?
Right. Well, this is something they can do. And so many times there is nothing you can do,
Yeah.
especially family members and friends. How do you help? But this is a way for you to feel like you're doing something about it. You can't help them with medicine. You can't make them feel better.
That's
but you
right.
can say that you're going to go out there and do all you can. You're going to, support them in this way. You're going to
Right.
raise funds. And so it does bring a lot of hope to people and compassion and just sort of a brotherhood of
Yeah.
they're not alone and they're not going through it alone. There are other people with the same problems that they're having.
Sometimes there's nothing better than hope. So you offer psychological support, so to speak?
Well, the American
too?
Cancer Society has
Does,
many
right? Yeah.
services. Yeah, they do a lot of service programs that are counseling and it's programs where you can go and talk to people and support groups that are
Right.
set up, and that is all part of the funding.
Thanks, Laura. And I just want to remind the audience, once again, if you have any questions, please feel free. Both of my guests here are very open and very willing to answer your questions. Don't be shy. No questions is too simple. Kelly, so tell us, how did you feel with that first diagnosis when they said, Kelly Stewart, I hate to tell you this, but you got something in your chest. Share with the audience how you, were you by yourself in the office that day?
Well, the thing that shocked my husband and I is that when you see television shows, the husband and wife are always holding hands in the doctor's office.
Yeah.
After my biopsy, I had to be put to sleep for my biopsy, and the doctor came right out of the surgical room and told my husband that he knew I had cancer, some kind of cancer. My husband was alone in a hospital at midnight. And then I was coming out of the anesthesia, and they said, we think you have a type of cancer. And that makes you wake up pretty quickly from anesthesia when you hear that. It's one of those things that we all fear cancer, but you never really think you're going to hear that you have it. And it's kind of surreal. It was hard for me to grasp that I actually had the disease.
How'd you feel? Your heart started going fast, you got depressed?
Well, of course, you think of
Scared,
everything. You think of your
frightened?
kids. I have
Sure.
3 children.
3 kids.
That's the first thing you think of.
Did you think, Kelly, and I hope I'm not depressing you with these questions, but I'm trying to think what the audience is thinking. Did you think when you were first handed that diagnosis, it's all over? This is the end for me?
I was fearful, but no.
No.
I've never thought
Right.
that this was the end for me. Never. Even after I've had it 4 times, I still
Right.
think that I have hope. There are constantly new treatments coming up. So no, I've never
Yeah.
thought that.
And a lot of people feel that positive attitude, and it's not just with cancer, it's just about with any disease, that positive attitude from the beginning has a lot to do with it. To being a survivor. Laura, tell us about the statistics. In very general terms, we're doing better with
We're
cancer,
doing
great.
great. Yeah, this was the first
Yeah.
year that the cancer death rate did decrease.
Dropped.
Yeah,
right.
in a long time. There's more people living with cancer now, more people surviving with cancer, and the survival rate has gone up. And it's just really, the statistics are looking good. We have a long way to go. We're not
Right.
there by any means, but it is very hopeful. There are cancer drugs now that are just attacking the cancer and not attacking the rest of the body.
Which is a big, big improvement.
Excellent.
Because until very
improvement, yeah.
recently, it would attack everything.
Exactly.
And people really got horribly sick and got a lot of infections.
Right.
Laura, I was going to ask you, you may want to tell the audience, when you said they had the biopsy, did they do what they call a mediastinoscopy, or how did? Yeah, okay.
They went through my chest.
They went through your chest with them. Yeah, that's
Through my chest.
mediastinoscopy. And so that was the first diagnosis, and you
First
got
diagnosis.
chemotherapy then?
I had chemo and radiation.
Chemo and radiation. Radiation is, we know what that is, very strong X-rays pointed at your chest.
Right.
Right. And how did you feel during that? During those, or how long did that remission last for you?
The treatment was 6 months, and the
6
remission
months.
was only 3 months. I was only in remission 3 months when the cancer came back.
Right.
Mhm.
Now, what happened? Tell us, Kelly, loss of appetite, did you lose hair? Did you have any pain in your chest from radiation? What was going on then?
Actually, chemo, I was always tired, even more tired
Tired,
than I
the
was before.
fatigue.
Tired and
Right.
sick. It would make me sick. I lost my hair.
Vomiting? Sick?
Yes, vomiting. I lost my hair.
You wore a wig, suppose?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Hats, wigs,
Hats,
scarves.
wigs, right,
Mhm.
okay.
My children actually liked me being bald. They would
Okay.
color on my head, so one of our Christmas cards we had
This is your own hair
was
tonight.
my bald head with my children's drawings all over it. So we tried to, keep it a little light. But yeah, I was sick. I didn't feel good and had
Sure.
trouble. And Laura was mentioning the experimental drugs. My last treatment was an experimental drug, and
Uh-huh.
basically I took a pill 3 times a week.
What was that?
And,
what was that? Remember the name?
And what's experimental
It's
drug?
not
It's
okay.
MD81000.
MD81000. There
But
you go.
it's an experimental drug. I was
Yeah.
I was part of a trial drug, and I participated in this drug study, and I took a pill 3 times a week. I didn't get sick. I didn't lose my hair. I was able to keep up with my teenagers. My children are teenagers now. And it was wonderful because I didn't have all the side effects that I had with the chemo and the radiation.
Right.
So
Right.
the new drugs that they're researching through money from things like Relay for Life are really improving the lives of people like me who have cancer and have to live with it.
I think it's so important for the audience to hear, Kelly, that, again, you were remarkable that you had a very strong, positive reaction at the very beginning. I can tell you as a family doctor, a lot of people don't. And I think for those people in our audience who have a loved one or maybe themselves are going through something similar to what you have gone through, that they hear your story. Kelly, let me ask you this. We went 3 years before the diagnosis was made.
Right.
When it was finally made, were you angry? Were you upset? Like, why didn't those doctors pick this up? I mean, the very, very beginning, quite honest, what was your feeling?
I was upset because I
Sure.
had been to 3 doctors complaining with my symptoms, but those 3 doctors did run tests trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And then when I was finally diagnosed, I asked my oncologist, and he said, honestly, until the disease progresses to where you have other symptoms other than just fatigue,
Right.
it's hard to diagnose sometimes. So, yes, I was disappointed, but I knew those 3 doctors were trying to find out what was wrong with me and trying to figure it out.
Well, I can tell you as a doctor, I appreciate that because it's true, Kelly. Very often it's hard to, as a matter of fact, we won't get into that, but missing cancer is a very common cause of medical liability issues, and because it is hard to pick them up. Not everyone is understanding as you. Kelly, you never smoked?
No,
You're not a drinker? You didn't have
No.
no family history?
no.
No exposure to chemicals? I mean, really a healthy woman with the only symptom was fatigue.
Yes.
So tell us so we went through one remission.
Mm-hmm.
And then how'd you feel at the end of that? What made you go back for a second?
I felt great, and I just knew that I was done with the cancer after the chemo and radiation. But when I went back for my checkup
Right.
in 3 months, it was back, and so they said
Now, it was back, meaning, what, another x-ray?
we did PET scans and
PET
CAT
scan,
scans.
okay.
PET scan and CAT scan.
And a CAT scan.
Mhm, together, and those 2 tests combined give them a good result
An
of what's
idea.
going on in your body.
And were you anemic, or
No,
had you experienced the infections or weight loss?
no,
Remarkable story.
no.
Remarkable.
So, other than technology,
Yeah.
with the advancements in how they detect the cancer, the PET scan's a wonderful improvement because it actually
Sure is,
detects
yeah.
the activity in the cells.
Right.
Those things are helping me and keeping me alive. The advancements in the research and technology, which thank goodness there are people who participate in Relay for Life and raise money for those causes.
Right. Let me ask you, Laura, Kelly mentioned the PET scan. These are very expensive items, and I don't think all hospitals in the United States have them. I know we got ours here at Danbury Hospital a few years ago, and for people like Kelly, it really is a wonderful tool. Women with breast cancer, you can do, you can prevent a lot of radiation treatment if you can do PET scans and see if there's any metastases and stuff like that. Does the Cancer Society help? I mean, do they have any relationship, any kind of activity towards helping hospitals in that regard? There must be small hospitals who can't afford
Right,
a
the
PET
machinery,
scan.
right.
Yeah.
They don't do direct funding in that way.
Okay.
They're, more the broad scale, but the cancer centers, they do support the local cancer
wonderful.
centers. So at our hospital, it would be the Praxair Cancer
Right,
Center.
right.
Yeah, and
Which
the
is a
American
great
Cancer
unit at our
Society.
hospital.
And the American Cancer Society is a big supporter, and we actually have a lot of volunteers
Right.
who visit the patients and hand out literature, and
Right.
we have a resource library and all different kinds of support systems
Right.
that we work with them, with the Cancer Center.
And as you know, Laura, Kelly was treated out, actually Kelly is from California, and I'll let her tell us she went to some very good hospitals out there. But I want to say this, that here at Danbury Hospital, as you probably know, the Praxair Cancer Center, and I know all the oncologists, we have a superb
We do.
team of oncologists, superb. I know them all. We have our own, PET scan. We have the very latest. Many of them, some of them are on the clinical staff at Yale or down at Columbia. I just want to throw that little tidbit in. It's important for the audience to know. Okay, so back to Kelly, who is very, very ready to share her stories. So we went through the second remission. So far, 2 treatments.
Right.
And you lost hair with the first one.
I've been bald 3 times.
Poor thing, yeah.
I don't like to brag, but I've
Okay.
been bald 3 times.
So for those of you men out there, you see, just let it come through. She knows what it feels like.
Yeah.
So tell us about that third. So how'd you do? So now we're, let's see, what's that? 1 year into treatment?
Approximately 1 year into treatment. The
Yeah.
cancer came back after my
Right.
chemo and radiation, so then I had a bone marrow transplant where they used my own stem cells.
All right, bone marrow transplant, right. They use a stem cell. And
They used
tell
my
us
stem cells.
Your stem cells. And
So that put me into remission for about 6 months.
6 months.
6 months. Again, I felt great. I thought I was done. I was happy, back to my normal routine. My hair
Right.
was actually coming back in.
Right.
And then I went back again for a routine checkup, a routine follow-up, and it was back again. And that's when I had my second transplant, where we had a donor. Fortunately for me, my brother and sister both wanted to be donors for me, and my brother matched, so he won that argument.
Okay.
And
Good brother.
he was almost a near perfect match. So I didn't have a lot of the problems with rejection that some people have. So I breezed through that transplant, and for a year, I was in remission.
Wonderful. That's great. Laura, let me, you probably know these statistics probably better than I. Cancer is the second leading cause of death in the United States. If I remember correctly, and you can help me out here too, I think for women it's breast, for men it's prostate. It's at the very top of the list. I think on both sides, number 2 is lung. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
And then number 3 is colorectal, and then you have pancreas, non-Hodgkin lymphomas, and a series of other tumors. What can you tell us about preventive, let's say screening? Do you
Well,
get involved in that in the community?
It's very important. That's one of the most important things we can
Right.
do is early detection.
Right, but the most important thing we can tell the audience
Yes,
tonight, right?
yes.
Yeah.
It really makes a huge difference in the
Right.
success of your treatment. And that's one of the major focuses of the American Cancer Society this year is to focus on the disparity in insurance and coverage for people, because we're finding that there's a direct correlation with the coverage that people have and their treatment and their success in fighting the disease. So early detection is huge. So
Right.
it's very important that everybody is very cognizant of that and gets the routine checkups that they should be having at their certain age.
Right. Laura, do you get any complaints? A few times I've been on the show, I always beat up on the HMOs. I'm surprised they haven't still give me a job. But I mean, like, what are some of the? Do you hear complaints like, well, my doctor wanted me to have a CAT scan, and he had to jump through so many hoops, and we didn't do it, or they wouldn't pay for a visit to an oncologist. I mean, what is an oncologist? What are some of the things you hear?
Well, on my level of volunteerism, I don't really hear a lot of that end of it. We just are concerned with that as an organization, and we know that is a problem out there, so we're
Right.
trying to deal with that and combat that as we can.
Do you hand out like pamphlets or
Oh, yeah, so
stuff
there's a
like-
lot of
like
education.
women breast
that-
exams and get your paps and
Absolutely,
pelvics?
absolutely. We have commercials on TV all the time
Yeah, right,
that I'm
right.
sure you've seen here and
Right.
there about the support systems that we have, as well as getting the scans and detections that you should have.
Right.
Mammograms, pap smears, those kind of things.
Colonoscopies.
Colonoscopies, yes, yes.
I know. Let me ask you, Laura. So what's going to happen at the? When is
Well,
the relay?
The
June
Relay
when?
for Life is June 13th
June
through the
13th.
14th at
You're
Bethel
gonna be
High School.
there.
I'll be there.
Look for
Kelly will
Laura.
be there.
Be there.
She'll have a green shirt on, and Kelly will be there too. You know what they look like. Now go ahead.
Yeah.
So what it's?
Well, we're very excited. This is our 14th year in Bethel. It's
14
actually the
years.
Relay for Life of Bethel, Danbury, and Reading. So towns of Danbury and Reading are part of our relay as well.
Say that again, Laura.
Bethel, Danbury, and Reading.
Bethel, Danbury, and Reading. Okay, good.
Right. And so they join us, and it's a team event, actually. So people get teams together of family, friends, coworkers. Some teams are made from soccer teams and sport teams.
Oh yeah.
And the point is to have one person on the track at all times. And it's a 24-hour event, 18 to 24-hour event. So one person is walking the track. And the reason it goes through the night, it starts at 6 p.m. and it goes to 6 a.m. And the reason for that is to signify that cancer never sleeps, and that it's the journey of a cancer patient is
Great.
The reason
So
we go
one
through the
person around that track.
at all times.
At all. Now the participants. So like Kelly, you're gonna.
I get to lead the first lap with all the other survivors.
Kelly's going to be holding the torch or running
Yes.
around and all the way to China. So you'll run for how long?
It's actually not
Walk.
running.
I
It's
mean-
walk, yeah. Well,
Oh yeah, walk.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's some people do run. Some
No, I
of the
mean,
kids
like
like
how
to run.
many laps?
We
Just-
go with however many laps it takes you to go through the night.
Oh wow.
It starts at 6 p.m. with an opening ceremony.
Yeah.
And that's where we do our celebrating, and the survivors have the first lap of the event.
Great.
And then one person from each team. Right now we have about 47 teams registered. We hope to get many more.
That's great.
And
That's wonderful.
yeah, so one person from each team will walk the track through the night.
That's great.
And they take turns. And there's activities and entertainment and all kinds of fun.
So it's a real event.
It's a
It's a
huge
real event.
It's wonderful.
I'm gonna drop in.
You better
Yeah,
drop in.
I am right. Kelly, let me ask you now. You're the way I understand it, you have a sponsor for this event, right? Like someone gives you. How's that work? Someone gives you like a
there's
dollar
many
for every-
ways to
Yeah, how's
raise
that work?
money, and the people do it individually, where they ask, they do letter writing campaigns or email
Ah.
campaigns, or just asking friends. And then as teams, teams get together and have events, spaghetti dinners, golf tournaments, anything they can think of to raise money. And so each person is asked to
yes.
raise about $100. And
Right.
that certainly is, people see that. It's amazing what
Right.
people raise.
Yeah, I know a few doctors. I'm not a golfer anymore. That's right. They'll have the cancer will have a golf tournament, I think in the fall. And they usually raise 10 or
Yeah,
$12,000.
they do great.
I think John Pezzameni was an oncologist. I think an excellent golfer, by the way.
Well, the oncologists do have a team at our relay.
Oh, they do?
from Danbury
Yeah,
High
you
School.
see that?
See? You should be there.
I should be there. So Kelly, where did we leave you? At your third remission?
Yes, but one thing
Yeah,
I wanted to
good,
say is
good.
one of the programs sponsored by the American Cancer Society that Relay raises funds for is a program called Look Good, Feel Better.
Look good, feel better.
Look Good, Feel Better, which is
That sounds good.
directed at women primarily. And I participated in this program, and it's really wonderful because you've lost your hair, you've lost your eyebrows, you don't feel well. And we went in, there were about 12 of us ladies who had cancer, and they have wonderful people come in, they get products, makeup products donated from all the wonderful makeup companies, the national companies.
Yeah.
And then ladies come in and they show us, how to put the makeup on to, make those eyebrows look a little more
That's
real.
wonderful.
And you do feel better.
I didn't. That's you floored me with that one.
Exactly.
Because that means a lot, doesn't it?
It does.
And it's not really vanity. What Kelly's talking about. It's if you've ever had the flu, just the flu, and you woke up in the morning, you look in the mirror, oh my God, and you want to run back in bed. You don't want to go out to work. So it means a lot
It
to
does.
have that kind of a backup.
And that's one of the many programs
Yeah,
that
that's
Relay
wonderful, yeah.
supports, and I benefited from that personally. So
Sure.
that means a lot to me,
Sure.
and it really makes you feel better.
Feel better.
It does.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good for you.
And I want to make sure that we let everybody know the 800 number, because there is a 24-hour
Right
a
here.
day, 7-day-a-week phone number they can call with any questions or concerns if they're just, worried about something, and it's 1-800
1-800
ACS
ACS
2345.
2345. And, as Laura said, call up that number if you have any questions. You don't have to have cancer to call up that
No,
number.
no.
Any doubts that you have, and that's a wonderful, I didn't know that. I'm a
Yeah.
doctor and I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
no, it's wonderful, and anybody
Yeah.
can access that at any point, any time of the day or night.
That's great. Do you get any help from like government or federal agencies?
Well, we do a lot of advocacy and push for coverage for
Right, right.
research and
I think what you said before, Laura, was important. I think years ago, I know when I was a kid growing up, if someone, in the family or what was, if we knew a relative who had cancer, that was a death sentence. Oh, Uncle Charlie's got cancer, it's all over. And you brought up a good point, survival with, as Kelly was talking about, the new medications, the PET scanners, CAT scanners, bone marrow, stem cells. So when the diagnosis that was a death sentence isn't really a death sentence anymore, and the audience should know that.
that's right.
And Kelly, you're a perfect example of that. Well, the cameraman just held up a sign saying 1 minute, so we're going to wrap this up. Kelly, what since you're the survivor, you're the star here
Oh.
tonight, what would you say to the audience, speaking right from the heart? Do you have a pearl of wisdom?
Well, I just think that there are so many resources for patients, and that you shouldn't be afraid of the different types of treatments. You really need to look at the different type of treatments available. I was benefited from a trial drug, so there are new things out there, and I think that with all the research going on, if you can just hang in there, there's something around the corner. So there's always hope. There's hope.
Okay. Well, folks, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did talking to our two guests. Kelly, thank you for
thank you.
sharing your story. Laura, great of you to come and tell the audience what Relay for Life is all about. You taught me some things, too. I hope you do get some calls. And Kelly, just keep up with your great
thank you.
attitude. You look great. And I think you were a great inspiration for people out in the audience. So thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for
Thank
coming
you.
on tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And I guess we're just going to keep on talking.